Brexit's unquestionably helped our business, and it's changing the mentality of the public. I think the English wine industry has grown substantially, particularly in the last 2 years. I mean, when we started out, if you said you made English wine, people felt sorry for you and said, you know, that's ridiculous. We could never have imagined how far it's come. I mean, we're now making world-beating red still wines, for example. I voted to leave. I didn't like the regulations that were growing from Europe. I recognized that in voting to leave, it was going to be 5 years of extremely difficult times. I think, you know, it would be naive to believe that things were suddenly going to change overnight and it wasn't going to be difficult. Of course it's going to be difficult. We've got lots of new rules. New trade deals need to be done. Having said that, the opportunity for English brands and brand England is very, very exciting. Brexit's unquestionably helped our business, and it's changing the mentality of the public. I mean, it's going to be a slow process, but we're definitely seeing an upturn from it. We're seeing a lot more people coming from abroad into England with a lower sterling rate, of course. It's cheaper for them. I am excited about Brexit. I'm excited that we can stop talking about it. I'm excited that we can move forward, and this last three and a half years where we haven't been able to move forward politically or legislatively, I'm glad that's coming to an end. For the English wine industry as well, it gives us a chance to define our own regulations, which is very important. Labelling, the way we make our wines. In 2018 in England and other parts of the world, we had an amazing harvest where the quality was absolutely fabulous. And it wouldn't have been affected by picking more or less grapes off a particular vineyard. But under EU rules, you're only allowed to pick a certain percentage, which is a nonsensical idea. And it's old-fashioned that volume equals decline in quality. So there are lots of rules, labelling rules. There's endless rules governed by the EU on how our bottles are labelled. And again, most of these rules, and many of these rules were written many years ago and are outdated. And this is an opportunity for Britain to write its own rules in a modern fashion with a new and modern industry that's just emerging. So we started making 10,000 bottles a year in 2002. We're now making just under 500,000 bottles. We don't want to be the largest grower. What we want to be is relevant and be able to supply our customers. But we also need to keep pace with the growth of English wines, and that's really what we're trying to do. So everything comes in, the grapes come into our presses, we have all our tanks, we have our own bottling line over here. All the tanks are temperature controlled. It's very, very important that we can make sure that during, for example, during fermentation, where the temperature can rise quite high, you don't want to burn off the flavors, you want to retain the delicacy of the wine, so dropping the temperature in the tanks is very, very important. So controlling each element of the process is really important in winemaking. As I said, our equipment's all been made for us in Italy and in France. It's an Italian bottling line. We have a laboratory over here. Obviously, you're testing the wines the whole time during the process. It's very important that you're testing the wines because we work with a number of the major supermarkets. The audit process is very important. So we need to know where from each bottle, we need to know where the grapes came from, what they were sprayed with, where the bottle came from, where the labels came from. Every element has to run a rigorous audit process. They're probably getting ready here to label. I can see that they're going to label some wines for the co-op, which we have a partnership with. You'll see that they're starting to disgorge the wines here, where these bottles are put into a glycol. They've gone through riddling, so it's the yeast, it's a secondary fermentation, it's a champagne method. The yeast has effectively been riddled, so it ends up in the neck of the bottle, the yeast. And how do you get it out? Of course, what you do is you freeze the neck, so that's minus 26 degrees. You freeze the neck in 10 minutes of frozen ice pellet. It goes through this disgorging line, flips off the cap, and the pressure inside the bottle ejects the ice, and with it the yeast remnant. So you get a clean bottle. And then it will go through bottling, it will go through the cork going in, the wire hood, and then labelling, then into a box and out. And that's, you know, a part of our process. But it is a science. This is not for the faint-hearted. You have to be scientific about every element of the process. It is, of course, it's a passion, but at the end of the day, you're making a top quality product, and every element of the process has to be absolutely uncompromising. And here at Hush Heath, we don't compromise. And people often say to me, how do you make a great wine? And I would say, do 300 things really well and you'll make a great wine. But I don't know which one of them is more important than the other. It's not compromising in any element, and including the labeling and the quality of the labeling, and showing you're going to be a premium product. So everything has to say, I'm a premium product.